In a world plagued by reboots, haunted by sequels, dominated by the same old shit, get ready for an original podcast that will gouge out your eyeballs and skull fuck you. Starring Ginger Josh, Adam the Hare, and introducing the immortal Frank. Hold on to your butts. It's the Game Rage Movies TV Podcast.
Yes, that is correct. You should likely be holding on to your butts because it's the Game Rage Movies TV Podcast. And even though we shit on how there's nothing original anymore, we'll be here talking about all those things that are unoriginal and shitting on them. So it's original though. And if you like hearing us talk about this stuff, go to GameRageMagazine.com. You can hear all our multitude of other podcasts, and you can follow us on Instagram/TikTok at Game Rage Magazine and on Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. If you like spicy memes, you can follow, and musical musings of Adam, you can follow him at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
I'm Josh, and obviously I'm here today with Adam.
Howdy.
And this is going to be the continuation of the X-Man's 97 on the Disney Plus. Episodes number 5 and 6. I will say to start us off, episode 5, man, banger. A banger of an episode.
Exceptional, outstanding. The best we've seen yet of the episodes that we've seen.
Shit. Yeah, absolutely.
And they put it smack dab in the middle for the 10 episodes of
that's true.
Of season 1 of X-Men 97. And I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm not a big fan of Roboito, dude.
Neither am I.
I don't like the Jubilee. I don't like the Roboito love affair. I just want me some fucking Wolverine, some Cyclops, Jean Grey, and the rest of the heroes,
yeah,
or the rest of the mutants. But
my theory overall on this thing is that they're gonna kill all of them, and that's why they're setting up these two, or they're gonna kill some main figures, and they're setting these two up to like take their place.
I don't want it, man.
Neither do I. I don't want it either. But
fuck,
we're old, all right? We're old and we're set in our ways and we like what we like and we don't want change, all right? We're against change here.
And then we got a fucking Isekai episode with the fucking Motendo.
Oh.
So AIDS, dude.
That was, especially since I hate Isekai so much. God damn.
Yeah, no thank you.
So luckily we got past that though. And I hope we never have to see it again.
Yes.
But let's get into it. Episode number 5. Goddamn.
Remember it.
Remember it. When I saw that title, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good one.
An apt title for a juggernaut of an episode, a towering tale of tragedy.
Indeed. And it kind of starts off with them being interviewed, or there's like a news crew at the old McMansion over there. And they are asking questions, trying to do this. I don't know. It's kind of like a fluff piece, seemingly. It's kind of how it starts out. But then it turns into a hit piece at the end, I feel like, against them. But their intention is to do a fluff piece about the X-Men and mutants in general. So they're interviewing, Cyclops, and they're asking questions, and they're doing all the news things. And
well, they start off with Beast, and Beast.
Yeah, that's right.
Beast. Well, the journalist had made some comment about, oh, what a great honor it is to have Hank McCoy as a guest for the world-renowned scientist that he is. And he says, oh, he responds with a qualified compliment about how she's a great journalist and everything. And he says, oh, Blue blushes as well, or Blue blushes too.
And then he does blush.
And he's smitten.
He is. Oh, he is.
And so he's getting rizzed up, and it's going seemingly well to paint mutants in a positive light, that now we're getting closer to the statehood of Genosha. And it is mentioned that Genosha is granted statehood. The Gambit, Magneto, Rogue triangle continues to get spicy. And eventually they make their way towards Genosha itself, which is a flourishing country of mutants. And some of the mutants that are featured, cameo appearances that we could talk about, is this weird character. I actually don't know too much about him, but I've seen him enough times that he's worth mentioning. Glob Herman. Who does that sound like to you?
Glob Herman?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm trying to think. Like the name sounds like something.
What imagery comes to your mind?
Oh, like he's a blob or something like that. Like
yeah. So do
like
you
with
remember
glasses?
Do you remember the character that was a skull with like a gelatin figure and he's got two eyes?
Oh yeah, that's
Glob Herman.
Oh
yeah.
man, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So then the trio of Magneto, Gambit, and Rogue, who are currently in a love triangle, land at Genosha. Madeline Pryor comes out, and it is been revealed that Madeline Pryor is part of the upper crust of Genosha, the administrative end of Genosha, the country, climbing through the ranks, doing the work. And Gambit seemingly makes a joke to Madeline Pryor about how, you know, company is nice with two people, and with three, it's even better.
Yeah, true. That was a pretty funny. Man, Gambit has some fucking great lines.
Got some great one-liners, dude. And Dr. Cooper, who is also in attendance from the UN, is concerned about this gala event that is being featured in Genosha, and it's called The Future. And I could probably see why it's concerning because, well, if Magneto is kind of the figurehead, so to speak, not officially, but
yeah,
a shared dream between Charles Xavier and Magneto to have a mutant country, or rather, Magneto fulfilling the dream of Charles Xavier of mutants and humans coexisting. It is somewhat concerning to have an event called The Future, possibly implying that maybe the future is, in fact, mutants.
Yeah.
And who else but good buddy fucking Nightcrawler shows up. And goddamn, is it good to see Nightcrawler, the ever optimistic, ever Catholic motherfucker that can blink and teleport out of places. Really good to see him. Although I have to say that his appearance and screen time is extremely short-lived, and I felt like we needed more of him. I feel like maybe he should be part of the main team if it were possible, but at least we got a fucking cameo. And it was mentioned in previous episodes that the Morlocks, the mutants that Magneto had saved in the sewers that were being accosted by the Friends
of Humanity.
The Friends of Humanity.
The old FOH.
Are thriving and enjoying themselves, are living it up in Genosha. And one of the things that was kind of funny was to further show how disconnected Rogue and Gambit are. Rogue makes a comment, is like, wow, it's like everything he had promised or everything that he imagined. And she was actually referring to Magneto, and Gambit was under the impression that she was talking about Xavier. And that was a little interesting predicament. And throughout this walkthrough of Genosha itself, we were giving more appearances of some of the X-Men characters in the comics. Multiple Man, who does like this thing where he shows multiple versions of themselves, and I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but and then we have the Omega level mutant Exodus appearing. And there was a few other characters, but Nightcrawler and Gambit are talking, and he's kind of talking about his troubles with Rogue. And, he can't give her what he wants, which is intimacy, and it's troubling him, and he's already concerned about what's going on with Magneto. So the Nightcrawler's like, hey man, you don't got to worry about that shit. It's all good.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
And then Cyclops, who you would believe to hold it down in an interview because he's so poised and so rational, is actually not doing that great of a job. They do multiple takes, and the journalist is actually getting under his skin because she's asking questions that are really fucking cutting deep for him. She's asking about, hey, where's your fucking kid? And he's like, what fucking kid?
Yeah.
And then a soft spot for him is also Jean Grey and him are not on the same page because he's been
fucking her clone the whole time.
Yeah, he's been getting mind fucked by Madeline Pryor. But in the midst of all this awkward conversation that he's having with the journalist, Wolvie Logan Howlett talks to Jean Grey as she tries to recollect her memories and even her own personal identity. Wolvie comes out and consoles Jean Grey about her relationship with Cyclops, and Jean Grey is just talking about how, fuck, man, we've been through so much shit, and when we first met him, I knocked out his books because he bumped into me or some shit, and then obviously the Phoenix Force. She's like, man, the only reason that I got out of that situation is because he helped me calm down and he really centered me and shit. And even in the midst of that, when she's in this whirlpool where she's got these, pools of water to show the visual of all these memories that she has that she is not seemingly aware if they are hers or they're Madeline Pryor's, Wolvie points out, is like, hey, I know you got all this shit going on and you're still trying to figure out yourself and if you're still you, and you got all this stuff going on with Cyclops, but he's like, you got to keep moving. I've lived through life. I'm old as fuck, and the best thing to do is just keep moving. So, him doing his best efforts to console and motivate and just overall feel good about herself. And then Jean Grey fucking lays down a fucking kiss on Wolvie, and he pulls back and is like, shouldn't have done that. I did.
I'm Wolverine. You're Jean Grey. He's Cyclops. You just forgot for a minute. All right. Like, let's just pretend this didn't happen and let's move on.
It makes me sad, man, that Logan is such a fucking simp, dude.
Yeah, he is.
It kills me. It's like, he would go above and beyond for Jean Grey, but he simply cannot have it. Like, it's just.
He simply cannot have it.
That's the clip. That's the clip. What is it? 11-minute mark?
13 and a half or 13 something. Yeah. Yeah,
dude. What a tragedy it is for good old Wolvie to just simply have Jean Grey the thing that he cannot have, man. It kills me inside.
Yeah, man, it sucks, dude, because you just want him to be happy. He's lived his whole life in misery. Everybody he's ever known is dead, basically, for the most part. That was not a mutant or whatever. And it's just, sad. It's sad for that he can't ever get his, like, just dessert, I guess.
Right. So then after this little kiss that Jean and Logan share, we cut back to the journalist and Cyclops is starting to fucking lose it. And he says something along the lines of like, why are you guys this, or rather the journalist asks like, why are you guys this way? And what's going on? Like, what's happening? He's like, because you're fucking normal. You're ungrateful about the things we do, about all the times that we've saved you. And this is the fucking thanks we get. Evil mutants, robots, crazy aliens, just talking about the absurdity of their fucking life.
Yeah.
Which is fucking true, because it's like, how is this even a fucking thing?
True.
And then he further elaborates in this same speech. He says, I have to stomach your questions so I can prove I'm a person. And I was like, damn, what a fucking statement to make.
Oh, yeah.
I lie because the truth is we're nothing like you, referring to humans. Thank God, because it's the only reason you're still alive, which is very much true, because all of the existential threats, the extraterrestrial threats that have been made to Earth, the X-Men have been there to save the day. And
also implying that humanity would not do the same for them, and would, if they were like humans, they'd probably just kill all the mutants outright.
Yeah, and he does make a comment about how, in the referring to that question about asking about Nathan Summers' Cable, like what happened, and he has a little bit of a slip up, a Freudian slip up. He's like, "Oh, the fucking doctor wouldn't see my kid, man, being treated like second class citizens."
Yeah.
So we cut over back to Genosha, where Emma Frost, Banshee, Moira McTaggart, Sebastian Shaw are part of the Genosha, what I presume to be the council. And if you were listening to panel to panel, the comics podcast that we're doing, we are currently reviewing House of X and Powers of X, which is the beginning of the overarching storyline for the X-Men universe, or rather the X-Men continuity, which started back in 2019. One of the things that we talked about was what things were being adapted from this specific comic book is, well, I'll reveal it to you. So this is something that's a fairly new concept, is that this secret council, or the council, is something that was introduced in Dawn of X, or rather House of X and Powers of X in the comic books. So while this series is based in the 90s and follows a lot of the right beats from those old comics, they're actually adapting more of the modern era of X-Men. And this is an exemplary case taking from Jonathan Hickman's run on the X-Men. So it is rather interesting to see that being adapted into this X-Men 97 series.
Yeah, indeed. And then one of the things, just it is really cool to see that. But one of the things we forgot to kind of, I think, touch on with the Jean and the Wolverine thing is, after that, that's when she goes to kind of help him out of this issue that he's having with the reporter or whatever. She goes over there, and then she like catches him telepathy.
Oh, the astral plane.
Yeah, with Madeline.
Yeah,
and she's like, "What? You son of a bitch! You cheated on me! That was our thing." Which, now, granted, listen, I'm probably gonna catch some shit for this, but I mean, that is a pretty typical woman response of, you literally just made out with Wolverine. You just engaged in a makeout session with Wolverine, and you're gonna be mad at him because he's just fucking telepathing with the chick that, granted, is you, and he did knock her up. You're not gonna be mad about none of that. But then this is where you're going to draw the line, even though you just fucking initiated making out with Wolverine. Come on now. Come on now.
Come on now. So they're having this discussion about who the fuck is going to lead Genosha.
Yeah.
And everybody's looking towards Magneto because he's like, you're Xavier's oldest comrade, and you're an Omega level threat mutant. So you kind of fit the bill for a leader because you are imposing, and we need a strong leader. And then Dr. Cooper's like, fuck, I don't know if that's going to work for us. Like, you're essentially a terrorist, and I don't think we can have a terrorist for
being in charge, of a country.
For a country that was just created. And this parallels like a lot of scenarios that end up happening in U.S. history, where a figurehead is installed within a new nation that the U.S. is trying to control in some manner, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening here. Is it's a bit of a parallel in the same way that the UN is trying to guide the birth of a new statehood, which is Genosha, but they're still putting the reins on them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fucked up because it's like they're a country. They should be doing whatever the fuck they want without they themselves provoking humanity or being problematic, which they're not. They've actually been the victims of humanity in I don't know. It's just very interesting to me.
Yeah, it's like if you're gonna let them be a sovereign nation, let them be a sovereign nation, and until they fuck around, then sure they're gonna have to find out. All right, but until that time, you shouldn't be meddling in their affairs, especially on the founding of the country. That does set a dangerous precedent, I think, and it also leads. It can lead and probably will lead to dissent amongst the mutants even further regarding humans, because it's like, well, now they're on the council, they're telling us what to do. Like, fuck off with these assholes, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's a bad move.
So Magneto is contemplative about taking the leadership role, or potentially what would be considered the chancellor role for Genosha.
Yeah.
And he's recollecting about meeting Charles Xavier in Germany and saying, when I met this son of a bitch, he had this dream and he had this smile, this smirk. Don't know what it meant, but that dream seems so far away. It didn't seem like it was possible. And he makes a quote that says, like Moses in the Promised Land, we would carry the dream but never have it. And that is what Genosha is the Promised Land fulfilled, the fulfilled dream of Charles Xavier. And Magneto is just be like, holy fuck, man, we're here. But yeah, I never thought we'd actually get here. So then Magneto posits that in order for this to work, that Rogue needs to end up being the queen of Genosha, because while he is imposing, he needs a foil to his reign, and Rogue would be that empathetic hand.
Yeah.
Somebody that can touch people and feel their pain, which would it feels actually like a perfect fit.
Yeah, it is. He's the stick, she's the carrot, basically. And that's what you need, because he can be ruthless and do all of those things, and people will likely not be pissy or as pissy about it because he also has her there. He can kind of be like, oh, well, she says this is cool.
Yeah, and this further leads to the problems that they had previously, because Magneto and Rogue have had a relationship before, and it appears that both of them have been toxic to one another.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason that they end up breaking up is that their baggage is too much for one another, and especially Magneto's. And he kind of disregarded her with negligence, and she's like, I don't fuck with that. So to be revisiting this idea again is like, am I really setting up myself for failure to be with somebody that it didn't work the first time? Why is it going to work the second time?
And with higher stakes, because now they're in charge of a country together. And this is a pivotal time for mutants. So do we want to be embroiling ourselves in getting back into a relationship with one another while also needing to run the goddamn country?
Yeah.
That seems very bad. Bad for business.
So then Rogue seeks out Gambit to find out what he thinks, because their relationship is kind of on the fringe at the moment, because Rogue really wants to have intimacy in more ways than one, but priority being skin to skin contact.
Yeah.
And he can't offer that to her because then he'll fucking die. And Magneto has that ability to negate Rogue's powers in order to have physical contact. And it's something that she desperately wants. And now she has it with this potential job that she's going to have.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, fuck, dude, really? Like, I already felt like you guys were cheating or being promiscuous.
Oh, and now you're going to do this?
Yeah. So then Gambit being I have to say, man, Gambit is a fucking G, dude.
Yeah.
He puts the G in Gambit. Honorable fucking dude. He's like, you know what? We're just going to be friends. You do what's best for the mutants. And this is just before the gala event that's supposed to be featured at Genosha. He's getting dressed up, and Rogue's like, fuck. Well, I guess we'll just be friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we get to the situation that you were talking about between Jean discovering that Cyclops was having an affair in the astral plane. And Jean is fucking pissed. She's like, how long have you guys been fucking doing this? How long have you guys been mind fucking each other and talking about, you know, our son? Well, I guess it's also technically Jean's because she is Madeline Pryor. So,
man, this is what's very confusing about this whole thing, because it's like, it wasn't you. Yes, she's your clone, but you aren't the same motherfucker. Let's just be honest. Like, you, even if you have a clone, the clone's going to go do shit that you aren't experiencing. But yes, you are telepathically linked. So it does feel like you experience these things, but it wasn't you. You weren't in the driver's seat. You weren't controlling what was going on.
yeah.
It was her. And I still think that's so fucked up of, oh, how long you mind fucking this bitch? He should have been like, well, how long you been making out with Wolverine, bitch? Like, what's going on? What's going on here?
Yeah,
What are we yelling about? What are we arguing about?
the pacing for this episode is so good because
It is,
you
yeah.
have all these apples that you're juggling, and there's just fucking everything's on fire, dude.
Mhm.
Everything's on fucking fire. And
Literally, at the end, everything is on fire.
so then Jean goes off, and then she has some kind of like psychic breakdown
Mhm.
when Cyclops and Jean are going at it. She's like, did you even love me? And then she's like, I'm gonna pass out, I'm gonna coom, I'm gonna goon. So then she has a mental breakdown of sorts. The worst part is, well, actually, I don't even know the worst part, because it's almost like he's justified in some way, but he also isn't. But when Jean asks, he's like, do you love her? He's like, I love both of you.
That was the wrong fucking answer.
I'm like, bro,
That was the
you
worst
fucked
thing.
up.
Yeah,
You fucked.
now I did feel sorry for him up until this point, but now you did it to yourself.
Kind of stupid fuck.
It was a stupid ass answer. I love you both. Should have been like, no, I love you. That would have been the way to get out of this.
But no, he had to
Yep,
fuck it
you had
up.
to fuck it up. Idiot.
Then we come back to Rogue, where she talks about her past with Magneto and how this man had enlightened her about mutant culture, mutant life, of what the world could be in the future, and also guiding her through her powers, as her mother and father could not afford those opportunities for her. And what ends up coming out of that situation is that they realize that they're more harmful to one another than them mutually benefiting out of this relationship. And it's kind of unfortunate, because it's like, of the two relationships that Rogue has, she gets one or the other thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, God damn, she can't have both, dude.
Nope. I mean, Gambit would give her both if he could touch her,
Right.
but can't. So it's like, fuck, man.
And she does eventually do that in the comic books, where she's able to control that ability and have physical contact. So, but at least for the sake of this series, they're still having that be like a weak point for her.
Indeed. So then,
I got it.
oh god, I thought you were.
Yeah, so Gambit gets salty, and Rogue wants to be. So she basically spells it out for him, like, dude, I want to be touched, and this shit sucks, because this isn't working out for either you or me. And I really fucking love Gambit, dude, man, because he's like, some things are deeper than the skin, and I'm paraphrasing, but he has a point. It's like, yes, Rogue wants this thing, but there's more to relationship than physical contact, and that comes into play later in the episode.
And you know, you are paraphrasing, and he also does say it in that broken ass Cajun that he speaks to. Something be better than the touch, or how the fuck it goes. Like, you know, I don't know, deeper than the touch.
Deeper than the skin, or skin.
Skin touch it much. Yeah. Like,
So then the event actually happens. The gala event unfolds, and what did you make of this situation? Madeline approaches Gambit and calls him handsome and all that shit. Do you think that was just, platonic compliment, or
she's trying to get some?
She's trying to get some of that
because she knows, because she's like all fucking, whatever Jean. I'm sure she fucking knows what's going on. I'm sure she knows. Oh shit, because again, she lived with them for however long it was. You know what I'm saying? As Jean Grey.
Yeah.
So maybe she already felt a little tingle for fucking Gambit, but then she knew, okay, well, obviously whatever, this ain't gonna happen. And then now that she's who she is now,
yeah,
and she knows, well, shit, she knows them two's getting back together, so that deal's out the window. Oh, maybe I could swoop in on this fella, get some sympathy dick while I'm at it.
Yeah,
hey.
this suave Cajun man,
Yeah,
this,
absolutely.
this handsome suave Cajun. She's like, I want some of that D. She wants some of that.
Yeah.
That piping hot.
Oh, literal piping hot fucking Gambit dick.
Sorry, I lost my place. Fucking A, dude. That statement,
piping
just
hot Gambit dick will just throw your mind out the window, man.
That statement, oh man, I had a Gene mind lapse right there, dude.
Yeah, you just had a fucking mind-bending panic attack in your brain when you heard hot Cajun spicy Gambit dick. Like, it's the andouille sausage of cock. Like, that's,
oh man, that's another clip right there.
that is, man. Damn, I'm killing it today.
Fuck yeah. So Dr. Cooper from the UN is spelling out her concerns. She says if Magneto takes the throne or the role of chancellor, this isn't going to end well for anybody. And I have my concerns. So then Magneto is looking for Rogue, and she descends in this red gown, and they have this aerial dance where she plants one on him on the lips, and a kiss is shared, and she's realizing that Gambit was in fact right, that kiss, I'm sure it was a test to see, is there anything there? And she's like, he's right. There are some things that are deeper than the skin. And I think that implies that Gambit and Rogue have a deeper relationship, that they are capable of being intimate. Well, at least maybe not physically, but in other aspects, to be comfortable with one another and be able to share everything. That even this thing that she coveted of the flesh, to have this, this thing of the flesh, it's not all that, all that cracked up to be.
Yeah.
So Gambit gets enraged about this kiss that he witnesses, and Madeline Pryor is like, sorry, bro, but you still want to get down, or
you down, player? Come on.
And the biggest shock of all time is that Cable ends up interrupting the party and comes in. And if you don't know who Cable is, he is Nathan Summers, the son of Madeline Pryor and Cyclops. And he's hysterical, man. He's like, you guys, oh my God, you guys, we gotta get it, you guys. So he's basically warning them about some impending doom. I don't know if he says specifically about what it is. I think he's just saying, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
This is going to be a massacre. And just as Cable ends up seeing his mother, he fades out of reality, and he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I'm too fucking late. I have to go back to my time. And Madeline's like, what are you apologizing for? It's like, you're perfect. That is a very touching thing. Madeline Pryor is a very sympathetic character. I know she's basically a clone of Jean Grey, but as a mother, like, looking at your own child and saying that there's nothing wrong with them and that they're fine the way they are, that is a very motherly or parental thing to say, is that, you're perfect the way you are. You don't have to change anything. And this is in spite of the fact that Cable has the techno-organic virus, and Mr. Sinister didn't complete the baking process to make him the Omega level mutant that he's supposed to be. And she's like, no, you're perfect the way you are. And I'm like, that really tugs at the fucking heart, man.
It does, especially for those of us whose mothers never told us that. It really fucks with us.
Yeah.
You know, because we wish we would have been told that, man.
The fucking heartstrings that X-Men pulls, man. It's it's such a home run of an episode, man.
It is, man. They know what the fuck they were doing with it. Now, listen, maybe the last episode they fucked around and found out, but this episode they fucking got it back right. Fuck, man. It was just
So then we get to the big reveal that there's a 3-headed master mold that is just fucking wrecking face. It is annihilating buildings. The gala gets blown to pieces. There's blood, spit, and ass everywhere. It's fucking turning into a genocide, which is...
Oh, yeah. That's putting it lightly almost.
Yeah. So then good buddy fucking Nightcrawler, who has been absent for pretty much the entire episode with the exception of his introduction at the beginning, makes the save and is wounded in the midst of saving people. And then Magneto is like, man, fuck all that. We need to do something. So then he starts squaring off with this 3-headed Master Mold Sentinel. And I think one of the most important parts of this episode is that Dr. Cooper is witnessing what it's like to be a mutant.
Yeah.
And she's seeing the utter horror of a Sentinel attacking mutants. And she's seeing it in their perspective. And it's like the Sentinel seemingly doesn't understand the difference between mutant and humanity because they're just going to end up being collateral damage, which is kind of what the X-Men are getting at as well. As like, dude, you guys are creating these machines and you're also creating the end of humanity simultaneously.
Yeah.
And Dr. Cooper is like witnessing that shit. It's like, fuck, dude. Goddamn fucking X-Men 97, dude.
God damn it. It's like fucking the quandary,
layers.
man. The layers. It's like, oh yeah, they want to wipe out all of the mutants, but it's like, well, they were made by humans to do such things, but yet they didn't think to install friendly fire detectors, so they didn't kill anything that wasn't a mutant.
Yeah.
You know? Which I guess eventually when you tie it, kind of, not that it's related necessarily, but if you kind of tie it back to the whole Powers of X and like and the House of X and the whole like war in the future, like essentially, yeah, like they fucking take over. Like they take over humanity, and only if they would have had the foresight to install a friendly fire device to say, oh, hey, we can't kill humans. Oh man, this would have maybe turned out totally different. But yet here we are.
Collateral damage.
Collateral fucking damage.
So then Magneto starts going ham. He's whooping ass on this fucking Sentinel. He's throwing like a monorail or something. He's like
whips him with it.
And then the Morlocks, who are the mutants that were, and I hate saying this because it actually speaks to how awesome Magneto is, that these mutants that don't have amazing abilities and they're kind of ugly and shit, is that he thinks like even the most insignificant life is worth saving.
Yeah.
And these Morlocks are not like, they're not carrying a special ability like Cyclops or Jean Grey or anything like that. But
they're like the normies of mutants.
They're like the normies of mutants. They're the defective, the ostracized, the unseen. And one of the, I think Leech, who's like the little green guy, he's like, the X-Men aren't going to save us. And then boom, through the window comes fucking Gambit.
Hell yeah.
Making the save. Good buddy Gambit with his staff, his bow staff, just fucking shit up, fucking up Sentinels. And
he's doing it in a fucking white suit too, a white tuxedo while he's at it, man. Fucking baller.
Magneto eventually comes to the rescue of the Morlocks, who are in the sights of this 3-headed Master Mold Sentinel. And my favorite part, and I don't know if this was supposed to be in a biblical sense, but this is how I interpreted it, was when he was looking, because Leech ends up saying something along the lines of like, yes, the X-Men aren't going to save us because they never looked out for us. And he puts all his faith in Magneto, and fucking Magneto comes through and he says, "Do not be afraid." Like an angel, like a the biblically accurate angel is like, "Do not be afraid," because he is something of a monstrosity that he's able to manipulate magnetism. And shit.
Yeah.
But that's how I interpreted it. So then we start getting towards the climax of the episode where Gambit pushes. So Magneto ultimately ends up sacrificing himself because he ends up eating a fucking hyper beam.
Oh yeah, right to the fucking dick hole, man. They fucking lit his ass up.
And then so Gambit and Rogue are making a push for the Omega Sentinel, the three-headed Sentinel. And Rogue is like, fuck, I just lost Magneto. I know we just kind of had a little bit of a thing going before this, but he's like, a mutant life lost is still a fucking tragedy.
True.
So then to spare Rogue, Gambit pushes her off course, and he ends up getting in the sights of the Sentinel, and Gambit decides that he's going to confront this Sentinel by himself. And what ends up happening is the Omega Sentinel pokes or impales him right through the chest.
Yeah.
And he's fucked. Like, there's no way this motherfucker is going to end up surviving this situation. And what he ends up doing to eliminate this threat is absorb all the energy, because that's his ability, is kinetic absorption, and also distributing it out.
Yeah.
He absorbs the energy of the three-headed Sentinel and self-destructs with it in an epic explosion. And fucking Rogue is left with two fucking people that mean so much to her, both potentially fucking dead.
Yep.
And the last thing she says to Gambit as she's holding him in her arms, she says, "I can't feel you." And she couldn't feel him
anyways,
but this is in a deeper sense.
Yeah.
Talking about
like his life, like being alive. Like she can't feel anything in there.
Yeah. And, going back to the statement about some things are deeper than the skin, or some things are deeper. Yeah, some things are deeper than the skin. It's like that is the perfect case for what he was talking about. Gambit, stand up fucking dude, man.
Oh yeah, God, and that's fucking crazy.
And
man.
that's all we get. That's all we get for the episode, is that we're left with this mass killing of mutants, and we're not entirely sure of who the fuck did it.
Yeah, it's a super ass cliffhanger, basically, of like, wow, this shit just ends and you have no fucking clue who is responsible for this. And obviously that's what we're gonna eventually, I think, get to by the end of the season, is some sort of answer as to who did this.
Yeah.
But yeah, this episode was so fucking good, man. It was top notch. And what sucks is the next episode, number 6, kind of fucking sucked. Not as bad as episode number 4. But it just wasn't as good as this.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't anywhere close. And I get it. That we just had this banger. Now you got to come back and do some exposition a little bit. And I think it was probably wise to take the story away from Earth and go elsewhere and show essentially, or not necessarily just Earth, because they also showed the whole Storm thing as well. But this was getting away from that main storyline, and now we're okay, cool. We get to see Charles is alive in this next episode. We get to see Storm sort of becoming over her, I don't know what you want to call it, not fears, but getting back to where she needs to be, I guess, right? And so the follow-up to this episode was going to be disappointing regardless. I don't think unless you just literally straight up followed this, there's no way.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, like I'm not the biggest fan of the Shi'ar Empire or any of the characters with respect to that. So this whole Shi'ar and Kree empires going to war and stuff, and I don't know, it just didn't bang as hard as what was going on in Earth. So it is good to know that one of the characters that I'll save it for when Josh actually returns. But yeah, I didn't end up particularly caring for this episode because I got to be honest, man. I fucking don't like the way the Shi'ar people look with their stupid haircuts and shit.
Oh, man,
it's so weird and it's so 80s
it's
or weird.
Off-putting.
It's so off-putting and it kind of it's such an eyesore that it almost distracts from any interest that I would have in the story itself. So
I don't know, man. The whole thing, they're fighting the Kree Empire or whatever, right? As well.
Yeah.
So I liked the Ronan the Destroyer character. I don't necessarily like the way he was used in the Guardian, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
yeah.
But I'm also not liking this either. I'm not digging this the way they're utilizing him in this either. It's I don't know. I just feel like it just makes him look like a bitch.
Yeah, and they had the whole posse, which is like the what was it, Guardian? Who is like the Superman figure or whatever the fuck you want to call him with the fucking mohawk and shit. I really don't give a shit about these characters. I really don't. The only thing that was kind of the bombshell was that Charles Xavier was in fact alive.
Yeah, confirmed alive, and not only alive, but he can walk now. He's thriving.
Yeah, with the help of the Shi'ar armor that affords him the opportunity to walk. And was it Deathbird that was going after the Kree leader, Ronan?
Yeah,
in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to capture him so that they can put
the war to an end. Yeah.
So then we find out that what's her name, Lilandra.
Yeah, the Lilandra Naramani, the leader of the Shi'ar people.
They're having a relationship between what they call a Terran or a human. There's a relationship between these two, and they're possibly considering taking these things to the next level where she might have him as king, but Deathbird is just like, fuck that. We need to keep our empire clean. We need to keep it pure.
Yeah, basically.
And then what was it? She wants to have this rite of passage that if he is in fact going to be part of the Shi'ar Empire, that he must disregard all his ties, all his memories, everything that made him Charles Xavier, how do you want to phrase it?
Well,
the leader of the mutant cause, the leader of the mutant. I'm trying to find the word for like a Martin Luther King figure.
Yeah, well, basically he's going to become the emperor of the Shi'ar. So if they're going to allow this, then he needs to denounce everything that he's done in the past that's not Shi'ar related. He needs to forget about the X-Men, and she wants to like mind wipe him or whatever it's called. So that's what they want to do. They want to do this rite of passage to like wipe his mind, to prove that he is truly loyal to the Shi'ar Empire and the Shi'ar people. So he just is like, nah, dog, I don't know about that life. I ain't doing that. So they start fighting, and there's this whole thing, and then he just like flips them into the astral plane and sets up this whole little classroom thing where he's like the teacher or the professor, and they're all stuck like sitting in these desks, and he's just basically giving him this lesson on coexistence and all this nonsense.
Yeah, and I think it's to critique a bit of what the Shi'ar Empire is that they're assimilating all these planets and shit, and they're not actually being helpful to them, but actually being problematic and not letting these worlds discover who they are or what they could eventually become because they're under the dominion of the Shi'ar Empire. Is like, so he's just kind of lecturing them about that. And what else is there?
Basically, he gets interrupted with this vision of Gambit, of like the death of Gambit or whatever. And then that's when he's like, oh shit, I got to go back. And then this is one thing that I kind of hate about the pacing of some of these episodes is they like with that other one, with the 4th episode, they split it between 2 fucking things.
Right.
And like this then gets split into now going, oh, he's like, I see the death of Gambit. Now I got to go back in time. I got to go back there. And then that splits and shows the Storm thing. And I get it. They were probably limited on episodes or whatever. And they're trying to tell this massive story. But it's that I kind of hate that.
It feels shoehorned in.
It does. Yeah. It just feels like it's just thrown in there just to get it.
Yeah.
And so.
And they do address the fact that, the people at the leftover people, which is Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey, Jubilee, and Roboito, are all watching the tragedy of Genosha happening on television, and Charles Xavier is getting flashes of that in the midst of possibly becoming a king for the Shi'ar Empire.
Yeah. And so basically, when we go back to the Forge and Storm saga, basically, she had this like poison or whatever. She got poisoned. And so the adversary, this fucking the owl or whatever, is still fucking with her. And so Forge uses his like little spell book that his mom gave him to fucking magic away. And then they fucking dispel the adversary temporarily or whatever. And then she needs to go find some cactus, some magical healing cactus or some shit to kill the poison. So she goes out and she finds it, and basically she has to fight the adversary again. And eventually she overcomes her fears, and that's how she gets like her power back. And so then she gets her powers back. Now she's Storm again, fully improper. And then Forge had needed the cactus to heal his poison or whatever that he got. So she heals him, or does whatever they do, right? Then they find out about the whole Genosha thing while they're doing all this nonsense. And then they're like, oh shit, Genosha's under attack. This is a whole big deal. And then it kind of cuts again to the deal with, what's his name? Bolivar Trask. And he's getting fucking hit up by Mr. Sinister. And he's just saying basically like, this is just the beginning, baby. And just wait and see.
And for as much as Bolivar Trask resents mutants, even he did not expect the magnitude of death and destruction that this Master Mold Sentinel, the 3-headed Master Mold Sentinel, causing this much mayhem. He's like, fuck, I'm fucked up, but this is beyond fucked up. And then Mr. Sinister, he's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, baby. You know what's coming next, player. Just keep on rolling, baby. You know what time it is.
Implying that he was the one pulling the strings for what unfolded in Genosha, and that is the cliffhanger that we are left with. So that kind of salvaged the episode for me, is that you got that tease about what's going on with these two characters and why this ended up happening. And yeah, I gotta be honest, man. I'm kind of glad we just ended up glossing over episode 6 this way, because I don't want to say it was terrible, but it was just kind of a hard episode to sit through. And the best we could do is doing like a footnote version of it.
Yeah.
Talking about the episode, because I really didn't feel like there was much to pull away from the episode as much as remember it. Like that was tops. That was a 10 out of 10 episode easily.
Absolutely. Easily the best episode of the series, and probably, or of this season, I guess. And it's probably going to remain that way. I don't know. I mean, I hope they pull other 10 out of 10 episodes, but man, it is up there for sure. And it could likely be the best episode of the whole series, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see. So that leaves us squarely on episodes 7 and 8, which probably puts us at 3/4, or rather 4/5, because there's 10 episodes of this.
There's 10, yeah.
And I'm already scared, man, because I don't know how much worse it can get at this point, but knowing that shit always goes rough for the X-Men, I don't imagine there's going to be a happy ending.
Yeah, I doubt so. I doubt it.
My current speculation is that I don't know where Apocalypse is,
because I can't even remember what happened to him in the original X-Men series, but if he's alive, then I could see Gambit being used as one of the Four Horsemen, because he usually does shit like that. He'll recycle mutants to have them be part of his
posse,
posse and shit. So I could see that happening potentially in the future to maybe take Gambit off the table for a bit.
Yeah.
But not dead.
Right.
And Magneto, I don't think he actually died. I don't
think so either.
I think what'll end up happening is that amongst all the rubble, like that's the thing that saved him, is that there was enough rubble to allow him to exit and escape with the Morlocks and shit. And then he'll come back and be like, motherfuck, we built the nation of Genosha and these motherfuckers are still coming after us. I don't know if I can hold back anymore. And we're going to get unhinged fucking Magneto going ham on humanity, renewing his hate for the Homo sapiens. I'm going to start using that now, actually. I'm going to start calling people sapiens. I like it, dude. I like it. It there's a degree of arrogance to say that, and fucking sapiens, dude.
Fucking sapiens, man.
But yeah, I got to say, like, I even with some of the missed opportunities for episodes 4 and 6 being probably the best examples, I just hope that we get nothing but the best for the next
4 episodes.
Yeah. And what do you have to say about this series and what you've seen so far?
Well, like I said, with the exceptions of 4 and 6, I'd say so far it's pretty good. It's pretty all right. You know, it's satisfying my X-Men itch. And I did think they did a good job of bringing the spirit of the original series back with it, along with kind of the way it's animated. And yeah, you can tell it's obviously not made in 1997, but you know, they kind of kept the spirit of that alive. And that's cool to see. This is clearly a fucking hit of nostalgia heroin, and it works. It does the job. It's effective at that. And it's not bad. So
the fucking issues that this show tackles, I mean, I know we talked enough about episode 5, but to show some of the real world scenarios that happen in real life, but also to the mutants. I mean, installing a figurehead for a new country so that humans and possibly like the United States control what the outcome is for things like that. And then we have Dr. Cooper, who is realizing the horrors of man-made machines with the Sentinels, that the more weapons that we create for humanity, the more likely that mutually assured destruction is surely on the fucking way.
Yeah. This is a good example of Disney or Marvel, whoever the fuck's calling the shots here for this. It's a good example of them doing what I think more people should be doing that have IPs that were hot back in the 90s. And that's not recreating them, but continuing them to the modern day, but using adult themes, because the people that watched that stuff back then now are squarely adults. And it's kind of the Ninja Turtles thing with The Last Ronin. It's a very adult oriented storyline. It's very dark. It's definitely not for kids. And it's kind of what this is turning into. While it's not super graphic and super, you know, there's not a lot of cuss words and all kinds of shit like that. That's not what I'm saying when I mean, you know, for adults, but the content, the storylines, like you had said about becoming the leader of a nation, starting a new country, you know, this type of shit, dealing with your baby mama is a clone of the woman that you loved, and now you don't know what the fuck to do. Those are all very adult themed and a very adult storylines,
and possibly relatable in an extreme scenario where there is a clone, but the family unit being diverse or unconventional, because having a clone wife or a clone of your wife, it's like
yeah, that's extreme, but there are family units that have unconventional families, like whether that's 2 dads or 2 moms, or you live with your mom and you only see your dads on the weekends. Like this show is so good at tackling so many different topics. Like I could literally spend an entire episode just talking about all the things that I love about this show. And we kind of did it already with episode 5, but I just can't say enough good things about this fucking show, dude. I'm thoroughly enjoying this shit.
Yeah, me too. I agree. And, you know, of course, the extremely relatable sense of being a child with a techno virus getting sent to the future and then having to come back and warn your mom that shit's going down, you know? Because that happened to all of us.
Yeah.
I think every one of us,
personal experience.
Yeah, every one of us has experienced this at some point in our lives.
Or mad simping for a woman that is that you cannot have.
Yeah.
Stupid ass Wolverine.
Fucking Wolverine, dumb fuck. We see it. That's why we see it. We've done that before. We've all been there.
We've all been there.
All have been there. Every one of us. If you're a dude, and hell, even if you're a lady, you've probably been there. Everyone's been there, man. And it sucks to see it. But man, it's so relatable. It is, like you said. But goddamn, the show's so good.
Yes, there's nothing more to say.
Yep, pretty much.
And we'll get to episode 7 and 8 shortly. But thank you guys for tuning in, and you can check out all our podcasts that we've been dropping for the month. We're trying to reach 1,000. If you haven't heard on the BFN show, we're surely on the path, but if we do not make it, June is the next month, and we couldn't have done it without your support, your listenership, your eyes and ears on social media, the dozens and dozens of Game Rage magazine community members. We have been rewarding you for your efforts, minuscule or gigantic. You are being recognized and appreciated. So thank you kindly.
Indeed. A big thank you to everyone who's been supporting us thus far on this journey, because that's what it is, man. It's a journey. And this topic is probably more appropriate for the BFN show, but you know, if you're listening, we thank you.
Yes.
You know what? We're going to have to do a thank you episode when we get to 1,000. It's just going to be, we did it. It's going to be the mission accomplished. George W. Bush on the aircraft carrier. We did it.
Yeah, we're going to need the Belgians on this one. We're just going to slap a giant Belgian flag.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We should, man, if only the Belgians actually would reach out to us, we could figure out who they are so that we could give them something. That would just be so grand. But anyways, yeah, you can go to GameRageMagazine.com and listen to all of our other podcasts and everything out there. All Gas, No Trash, the music one, Anime Syndicate, all about anime, the Buff Fuck Nowhere Show, the Meta podcast, Central and Intelligence podcast, world events, current events, and stuff like that. Chirping from the Pine, the Game Rage Sports podcast. Obviously, we're restarting the Star Wars one. We're going to get back on that in June. June is the month that Star Wars is going to make the big comeback, all right? The Game Rage Star Wars podcast. We also have Game Rage Wrestling, which is all about pro wrestling. We have Panel to Panel, the comic book one. Team Killing Glitch Stars, the video game podcast. And Without Censor, the Game Rage interview podcast. So do us a favor, check them all out. And if you could be so kind, just drop us a little 5-star rating on there. That helps us get seen more in the algorithm, from what I'm told. And we would really appreciate it. If you want to follow us on social media to get all the latest breaking news as related to Game Rage Magazine and know when the podcasts are going up immediately with the clips and all that stuff, follow us at Game Rage Magazine on Instagram and TikTok. You can also follow us at Game Rage Mag if Twitter is your thing. And if you want to see breaking news and shit you probably never heard of regarding music, you can follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram. And with that, it concludes the episode. And I think I say all that shit at the end, so, but whatever. Thanks for listening.
Homo sapiens be damned.
Homo sapiens be damned. We here at Game Rage Magazine are not Homo sapiens. We are Homo superiors. Wait, there it is.
Oh, hey there, buddy. It's me, 1930s announcer guy. Here to congratulate you on making it through this episode. As our heroes are getting in their jalopies and riding off into the literal sunset, they wanted me to tell you thanks for listening to their radio broadcast, and should you be so kind as to follow them on some fancy schmancy radio station publication called Instagram and TikTok at Game Range Magazine, and on some other thing called Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. Also, they wanted me to inform you and ask if you could be so kind again as to visit something called a website at www.GameRageMagazine.com. I don't know what that is, buddy, but you should probably go do those things. And, don't forget to tune in next time to the Game Rage Movies and TV radio broadcast.